Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make the secondary colors. So two primary colors make the secondary color that's in the center. So for example, blue and red make violet, red and yellow make orange, and yellow and blue make green. So we're going to make violet today. I'm going to start by erasing the word violet because I don't want this to show through. I'm going to put a puddle of water into my paint. I'm going to use the light blue and the red today just because I prefer the light blue. You can either use dark blue or the light blue. It doesn't really matter. It's your choice. Then I'm going to start with the lighter of the two colors. I believe the red is lighter than the blue, so I'm going to swirl my paintbrush in the paint until it gets to a gel-like consistency. And I'm going to paint my whole tile red. You can see this wasn't dark enough. If you look at the screen, you can see I didn't get it quite to a gel-like consistency. It still looks like watercolor, so I need to go back and work on my paint a little more, get it to where it's a gel. That looks a lot better. And I'm going to paint the hue, which is the center section, and the shade, which is the top, all red. You want to take your time, make sure that you are painting inside the lines. If you're having a hard time painting inside the lines, it means you probably have the wrong brush and you need to change brushes. And leave that center open so that you can paint your complementary color there. Okay, great. Now that I've got my entire section painted red, I'm going to wash out my brush. And I'm going to use the other primary color that's on the other side, which is blue. And I'm going to blend this in. You want to work fairly quickly, making sure that you stay in your lines and you're still careful, because it's a lot easier to blend the paint when it's still wet than to wait for it to dry. Right now my paint is actually red-violet, which means I'm going to have to go in and add more blue. But before I do that, I'm going to just spread it out everywhere, make sure it's even before I change anything. Alright, so that's actually red-violet. That's a tertiary color. I'm going to wash out my brush, get a little bit more blue paint, and mix it in. And I'm just going to keep working on it till I'm satisfied with the color. It's almost there. It's still a little bit too red. You can see just by adding a little bit more blue, you make it closer to violet than to red-violet. You have to be careful not to add too much blue so that it doesn't end up looking like blue-violet. Alright, now while I have this color made, I'm going to take it while it's still on my brush and I'm going to paint it into the complementary color section on the other side of the color wheel in yellow. Now I'm going to wash out my brush. I'm going to get a tiny little bit of black and mix it into the shade section. To avoid having to make this color again, you don't want to use too much black because then it'll end up too dark and you'll have to make the color again and get it the same shade, which can be really difficult. You should be able to notice the difference between the shade and the hue. You can see mine aren't really far enough apart yet to see a big difference, so I need to add more black. It's going to look really dark purple. It is not going to look black. Alright, now you can see a difference between the two. I'm going to wash out my brush really well, and I'm going to get white. Paint that whole middle section white. Wash out my brush again. Just barely touch the red and paint that in. Wash out my brush again. Dry it off a little, barely touch the same blue that I used before, and blend this in as well. If you have a situation like I do right now where you used a little bit more blue or more red, I used a little bit too much blue this time, you can fix that by washing out your brush and adding the other color in. So I'm just going to wash out my brush, add a little bit more red in until I get a pretty violet color that matches the other ones. Okay, and that's how you make each of your secondary colors. Thanks for watching. Good luck.